What if the Amazon rainforest wasn't wild, but designed? What if the Amazon rainforest once hid cities as vast as those in Mesopotamia or Egypt? For centuries, explorers called it a green helly, untouched, untamed, uninhabitable. But what if, asterisk, we've been wrong all along? Beneath the dense canopy, there are signs patterns in the land, black soil richer than any modern fertilizer, massive geometric earthworks. And now, with new eyes from the sky, we are seeing things no one believed were ever there. This isn't just a jungle. It might be the ruins of a forgotten world. For hundreds of years, the Amazon was seen as an empty void. A green ocean stretching endlessly, but devoid of civilization. The European explorers Orellana, Carviel, and others ventured deep into the rainforest and told stories of vast cities, towering monuments, and dense populations. But no one believed them. Why? Because when later expeditions returned, they found nothing. No cities, no roads, no temples. Just vines, heat, and silence. The rainforest had swallowed everything, this idea that the Amazon could never support. Civilization became a scientific dogma. For decades, textbooks taught that the soil was too poor, the climate too harsh, the insects too deadly. At best, they said, small scattered tribes could survive, but large-scale civilization, impossible. But what if the jungle wasn't empty? What if it was hiding something? It took centuries and technology from the 21st century to start peeling back the canopy and revealing what had long been hidden. What explorers once saw may not have been fantasy after all. In a place where the soil is notoriously poor and acidic, a strange discovery challenged everything we thought we knew. Scattered across the Amazon basin are patches of black, fertile soil unlike anything else in the rainforest, locals call it terra preta, literally, black earth, rich in nutrients, full of charcoal, bone, broken pottery, and microbial life. It doesn't wash away, it doesn't degrade, and it can regenerate itself. Modern scientists were stunned. This soil wasn't natural, it was man-made. Created intentionally, centuries, maybe millennia ago. But why and by whom? Terra preta appears in geometric patterns near riverbanks, atop ancient mounds, and around now vanished settlements. It stretches for kilometers in some regions, suggesting large populations once lived there and knew how to transform the jungle to support them. And here's the real mystery. Modern agricultural science still can't fully replicate terra preta. We don't know exactly how they made it. We only know they did, and it worked. This forgotten soil tells a story. Someone long before us had mastered the forest. For centuries, the Amazon was thought to be an untouched wilderness too wild to support civilization, but everything changed in the 21st century. Thanks to LiDAR, a laser-based remote sensing technology, we now have the power to see through dense forest canopies without cutting a single tree, and what we've found is extraordinary. In Bolivia, Brazil, and parts of Peru, LiDAR scans have revealed vast urban networks beneath the trees. There are grids of roads, straight and precise, raised platforms, causeways, geometric enclosures, plazas, even pyramidal structures. These weren't small tribal camps. They were engineered cities with planning, symmetry, and scale. One site in Bolivia, called Cotoca, revealed more than 20 kilometers of roads connecting settlements, roads that were invisible on the ground. In the Xingu region of Brazil, a network of circular villages was discovered, laid out with such precision that modern urban planners were astonished. Why weren't these cities discovered earlier? Because the jungle hid them perfectly. Without LiDAR, they were just bumps in the earth, covered by vines and trees. But now, a new story is emerging. The Amazon was once full of cities, and they were connected, structured, and intentional. The forest has been whispering this truth all along, we just weren't listening. If we look closer beyond the roads and city layouts, we begin to see something even more astonishing. The ancient people of the Amazon weren't just survivors. They were engineers. Archaeologists have discovered massive canal systems, artificial lakes, fish ponds, and raised causeways that stretch for kilometers. They weren't randomly built, they followed precise hydrological planning. In Bolivia's Llanos de Mojos, a network of over 20,000 artificial earthworks includes mounds, channels, and fish weir structures designed to trap and raise fish during the wet and dry seasons. In the Beni region, hundreds of rectangular ponds and zigzag channels have been found, suggesting controlled aquaculture systems thousands of years old. Imagine farming fish in the jungle, long before modern tanks or agriculture even existed. But it wasn't just about fish. The forest itself was engineered. Recent research shows that many of the tree species dominating the Amazon today, like the Brazil nut, cacao, and acai, grow in clusters too perfect to be natural. They were planted, selected, and managed by human hands. What we thought was a wild forest may, in fact, be a man-made orchard, a result of thousands of years of careful agroforestry. This changes everything. It means the people of the Amazon weren't passively living in nature. They were shaping it, enhancing it. They didn't fear the jungle, they mastered it. If we look closer beyond the roads and city layouts, we begin to see something even more astonishing. The ancient people of the Amazon weren't just survivors. They were engineers. Archaeologists have discovered massive canal systems, artificial lakes, fish ponds, and raised causeways that stretch for kilometers. They weren't randomly built, they followed precise hydrological planning. In Bolivia's Llanos de Mojos, a network of over 20,000 artificial earthworks includes mounds, channels, and fish weir structures designed to trap and raise fish during the wet and dry seasons. In the Beni region, hundreds of rectangular ponds and zigzag channels have been found, suggesting controlled aquaculture systems thousands of years old. Imagine farming fish in the jungle, long before modern tanks or agriculture even existed. But it wasn't just about fish. The forest itself was engineered. Recent research shows that many of the tree species dominating the Amazon today, like the Brazil nut, cacao, and acai, grow in clusters too perfect to be natural. They were planted, selected, and managed by human hands. What we thought was a wild forest may, in fact, be a man-made orchard, a result of thousands of years of careful agroforestry. This changes everything. It means the people of the Amazon weren't passively living in nature. They were shaping it, enhancing it. They didn't fear the jungle, they mastered it. The collapse of Amazonian civilizations wasn't a thunderous fall, it was a slow, suffocating erasure. Imagine entire societies disappearing without a single battle, not by war, but by the invisible hand of disease. The epidemics that followed, European contact, smallpox, measles, influenza, had mortality rates as high as 80 to 95% in some areas. These weren't just plagues, they were memory killers. When the carriers of oral history died, so too did their legends, techniques, maps, stories, and identities. In less than a century, thriving cities became ghost lands, the forests unchallenged by human maintenance, slowly closed over roads, canals, plazas. To outsiders, it all seemed untouched, virgin jungle because the scars had healed too well. But just as a healed wound leaves behind new tissue, the forest we see today is shaped by what once stood beneath, and yet the greatest tragedy wasn't just biological. It was epistemological, a loss of ways of knowing, of how to live with the land rather than above it. The silence that followed wasn't just in the jungle. It was in our books, our maps, our history. Until LiDAR, science couldn't hear the echoes. But now it does, and the forest still waits to be fully understood. What if the Amazon rainforest, what we've long believed to be the last untouched wilderness, was actually one of the most modified landscapes on Earth? Recent evidence suggests just that. Satellite imaging, soil chemistry, plant distributions, and archaeological surveys all point to one shocking idea: the Amazon was shaped intentionally by human hands. The layout of terra preta, the distribution of useful tree species, the canal systems, the villages built in geometric harmony. They were not random. They were engineered. Some scientists now believe that up to 10% of the entire Amazon basin, an area the size of Western Europe, was once actively managed by ancient civilizations, and not just one. Multiple cultures over thousands of years. In parallel and sometimes overlapping to them, the forest wasn't a barrier, it was a canvas. A living system they tuned, pruned, designed like an orchestra of ecology. In this view, the jungle's incredible biodiversity might not be an untouched miracle of nature, but the legacy of ancient agroforestry on a grand scale. Think about that. What we now call wild nature may actually be the ghost garden of forgotten peoples. It's not chaos. It's memory, rooted in soil and leaf. And suddenly, the Amazon isn't just a place to conserve, it's a library of human history written in trees, soil, and silence. If the Amazon was designed, what does that really mean? It doesn't mean skyscrapers or concrete. It means intentional ecology, a large-scale environmental engineering system that maintained biodiversity, food sources, and sustainability over thousands of years. Studies show that as much as 10 to 20% of the Amazon forest contains signs of human influence, patchworks of domesticated tree species, anthropogenic soil zones, terra preta, structured landscapes of ponds, canals, and causeways. Even the forest's most natural features, such as the presence of Brazil nut trees or cacao, are often remnants of ancient agroforestry. This was not a forest where humans merely survived. It was a forest where humans thrived by designing life itself. They didn't fight nature. They edited it, and perhaps this ancient vision offers a map for the future. A blueprint of how we might restore balance, not by domination, but by co-creation. The Amazon is speaking to us, not in words, but in patterns, in soils, in trees, in ancient lines barely visible to the eye. For centuries, we assumed it was silent, untouched, empty, chaotic. But now we know better. Beneath its canopy lie the echoes of a world we forgot, a world of engineers, planners, gardeners, astronomers, and visionaries. A world where humans didn't conquer nature. They collaborated with it, And maybe that's the lesson. In our modern age, so defined by consumption, concrete, and control, we are obsessed with dominating nature. But the ancients offer another path, a quieter one rooted in respect, balance, and coexistence. If we truly listen to the Amazon, we don't just learn about the past. We remember a future we've forgotten. A future where sustainability wasn't an ideal. It was a way of life, lived, breathed, buried, but not lost. The forest remembers, and if we're willing, we might just remember too. Subscribe to rediscover the forgotten world.